So, you've probably seen the headlines: a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, a self-declared republic, and a really extraordinary demand for deportation. It's a story that's been making waves, and today we're going to break down all the claims at the very heart of this controversy, all coming from one key interview with a Somaliland official. All right, let's get into it. Right at the center of this whole thing is a pretty stunning request. The source we're looking at claims the government of Somaliland, that's a self-governing republic in the Horn of Africa, is actually asking for a sitting member of the U.S. Congress, Ilhan Omar, to be deported to them. I mean, that is a highly unusual demand to make about any U.S. official. And that, of course, leads to the big question: why? Why on earth would a foreign government make such a specific and, frankly, politically explosive request? Well, the answer, according to our source, is tangled up in decades of history, a deep sense of betrayal, and a whole lot of violence. To really get what's happening today, we have to go back, way back. You see, this conflict didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Its roots stretch back more than 60 years, right to the era of decolonization in Africa. Okay, so the timeline here is absolutely crucial to understanding their point of view. According to the source, Somaliland first became its own independent country in 1960, right after getting independence from Britain. Now, it was only for a few days, but they were a sovereign nation. Then they voluntarily joined up with their neighbor, the brand new nation of Somalia. But that union, well, it would eventually fall apart in a civil war, which led to Somaliland redeclaring its independence in 1991. And this quote from the source, from Hassan Aiden, who's the CEO of Somaliland Investment and Trade, really gets to the core of their grievance. He doesn't call the union a failed experiment. He calls it 66 years of fraud. That is some seriously strong language, and it points to a fundamental feeling of being betrayed. So what was this fraud he's talking about? Well, according to the interview, the deal was supposed to be a union of equals, two sovereign countries sharing power. But the claim is that the actual document filed with the United Nations was completely different. They say it basically demoted Somaliland from a partner country to just another region inside Somalia. They argue it was a total bait and switch that robbed them of their sovereignty right from the start. And this didn't just stay a political fight on paper. According to the source, when the people of Somaliland started objecting to this new setup, the disagreement spiraled into something truly horrific, unimaginable violence. The number that's presented in this interview is just staggering. 200,000, that, the source alleges, is how many people from Somaliland were killed by the Somali regime under the dictator Siad Barre. This event is, according to this account, the deepest wound in their entire history, and it's the foundation for their most serious accusations today. The source actually gives this period a name: the Isaaq Genocide. Now, the Isaaq are the main clan in Somaliland, and the claim is that they were systematically hunted and targeted for extermination by Siad Barre's military regime in the late 1980s. This is the historical event that's really fueling this entire controversy. So, the big question is, how in the world does a genocide from over 30 years ago connect to a U.S. Congresswoman right now, today? Well, the source we're looking at makes a very direct two-part connection. And here it is, the core of the accusation that ties the past to the present. First, the source alleges that Ilhan Omar's father was a top propaganda official for the exact same Siad Barre regime that they say carried out the genocide. And second, it alleges that Congresswoman Omar is now using her powerful position in the U.S. government to continue that regime's work by actively fighting against Somaliland's independence. The interview gets really specific about what they claim Representative Omar is doing. It says flat out that she is not a friend to Somaliland, that she uses her influence to stop their progress, and even that she's more focused on defending Somalia's interests than representing her own constituents back in Minnesota. But the most concrete accusation is that she used her old seat on the powerful House Foreign Affairs Committee specifically to block any movement toward recognizing Somaliland. Okay, so all of this brings us right up to today and what Somaliland is trying to achieve. From their perspective, this whole controversy isn't just about settling old scores. It's about defining their future. And pay attention to this wording, because it's a really key distinction. The interviewee, Hassan Aiden, keeps using the term re-recognition, not recognition. Their whole argument is that they aren't some new country asking for a seat at the table. They see themselves as the original country from 1960, simply asking for their independent status to be given back after what they view as a fraudulent and incredibly violent union. So what we're left with is this big question that sits right at the intersection of history and modern-day politics. Are we just watching a political disagreement play out, or is this something much deeper, a geopolitical fight for the very future of a nation, a fight that is completely and totally rooted in the grievances and alleged crimes of a deeply contested past?